A minhag which takes a prominent role amongst Yidden is the acts of Simonim. Depending on where we're coming from, is how serious we take it. But either way, Simonim Milsi, it's brought down in halacha that we eat certain things, and because of that, whether that itself is a tefillah or brings to that, and we ask, one of the ones we eat, a Rosh Hadog, the head of a fish, and we say, Shani l'Rosh v'lo l'zanav. The Satmar Rebbe says, Shani l'Rosh, what we're asking for is, l'Rosh, the Rosh Tevis, Lasais Ratzain Avinu Shabashamayim. To do the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's when we're asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shani l'Rosh. But what Rosh are we discussing? If anything, it's to say, Shani l'Rosh v'lo l'zanav. Let's be a head and not a tail. What Shani l'Rosh v'lo l'zanav? So I saw someone that brought down, it's referencing the Mishnah in Avos. The Mishnah in Avos says, better to be a zanav la'ari, better to be a tail of a lion, than to be Rosh Hashul, better than the head of a fox. So we say Shani l'Rosh, we should be to the head, we should be somehow attached to the head of a lion, to the lion which is the head, than to any part, even the head of a fox, which is considered the tail in general. And Chatzkel Levenstein brings this out in a most, what I would call, elaborate manner. He says as follows: when it came to light, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells that I'm saving light in the schus of Avram Avinu. Vayizkar, he remembered, and he sent for light, and light was saved from Sodom. And Rashi tells us, why was he saved from Sodom? What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu remember? He remembered the schus that light did not give up Sarah. When Avram said that Sarah was Achaisi, was my sister, light could have easily got the prize and gave an informed on Avram Avinu and said he's not a sister, it's his wife. Instead, light kept quiet. He gets tremendous schar. He saved his life, and he has a zeicher, and he was saved from Sodom. Then the Mefarshim ask, what does that mean? That's the schus of light. Light was machtas archim, and when it came to the malachim come to Sodom, he was meiser nefesh. He had people wanted to kill him, and he was still being meiser nefesh in the mitzvah of achnasas archim. That, if mitzvah gets forgotten, that mitzvah is nothing. So Reb Chatzkel says as follows. He says it's more important to be attached to a Rosh, to an Ari. We'll pick the mitzvah where light was in the grouping, was in the accompanying of Avram Avinu, more importantly than a tremendous Maisa being around the Maisa Sodom. In other words, when light was with Avram Avinu, so maybe perhaps was not the greatest Maisa, it was a small Maisa, seemingly insignificant. But the important thing was that it was part of the Rosh, was part of the Ari. It was his shaykhis to Avram Avinu. Even though on his own he was Meiser Nefesh, sacrificed his life for a mitzvah by Sodom, but because he was involved in the Anshe Sodom, that was his social life, that was his milieu, that was his environment. It didn't help him for too much. The schus that HaKadosh Baruch Hu looked for, that remembered, was because he had a shaykhis with Avram Avinu. So something small, but a shaykhis to something much bigger, is so much more important. Shani l'Rosh, we want to be involved in the Ari, in the lion, which is the Rosh of all animals, the head. We'll take even the tail of the head, the tail of an Ari, than to be even the head, but of something so much worse, so much more insignificant, like a fox. As we approach Rosh Hashana, Rabbi Yisrael, let's make this Rosh Hashana count. Rosh Hashana is the head of the year. There's nothing more significant. There's nothing more lion-like than the head and the leader of the day of all, the day of days of all, and the days of all days, which is the Rosh Hashana, which everything in our entire lives are set and are based on whatever is going to transpire during these 2 days. That's the power of Rosh Hashana. If we treat that properly, and we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shani l'Rosh, we have Kavanah Lasais Ritzayin Avinu Shabashamayim, to do what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. Every single moment in Rosh Hashanah will affect every single day of our lives. Like someone tweaks something in our brain, in our head, and who knows where it could go. What part of our body will be shifted for the good or for the bad. It's the same thing by Rosh Hashanah. If we make the seconds count in Rosh Hashanah, our entire year will count in a much better and much more beneficial way. One that will make HaKadosh Baruch Hu proud. And who wouldn't want to do that on a day of Rosh Hashanah? Ksiv v'chsim tova.